Hey folks, and welcome to another video. I thought it'd be fun to share some of my comfort reads today, and I'm not necessarily a rereader, but these are the books that kind of have resonated with me, and they're not necessarily ones that I may have given like all the stars or anything like that. It's just something about the book has resonated deep within my soul and has attached to something in me, has either like made me feel safe, has healed a little bit of my inner child, has just felt nostalgic in a way, entertained that childlike part of my brain, anything like that, anything that makes me feel comforted and cozy and safe and kind of seen in that sort of sense. I have classed as a comfort read. The first one I'm going to talk about, I can't find where I've stashed my copy of it, and it might be a bit of a controversial one because it's definitely one that could trigger trauma responses, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I adored this book, honestly. I'm pretty sure it was a 5-star read for me, and I just felt it to be so on point with a lot of things of how I was feeling. We're basically following our main character called Nora, and she gets herself in a situation where she is on the cusp of life and death, and in that kind of realm between worlds of living and dying, she has found herself in this library, and within that library there are multiple doors where she can try out all the different lives that she could have led had she had chosen a slightly different path, in an attempt to kind of see what she values out of life, what could have been, and hopefully to kind of help her reflect in a different way and see if there's something she can hold on to continue on living. So it's definitely talks a lot about mental health, suicide, self-harm, those sort of things, but heavy topics but beautifully done. I thought the whole concept was absolutely phenomenal, and as I say, I just felt so like deeply seen with a lot of the topics that were talked about in there. Next up we have the Wardstone Chronicles by Joseph Delaney, and this is the first book, The Spook's Apprentice. I've been going back to these books and continuing on. Originally I read the first 4 books like a good few years ago, and this year, randomly like mid-year, I started borrowing some out the library, using Audible to listen to other volumes of them or other books of them through that service, and yeah, I am really enjoying being back in this world, and I've found that it is very comforting for me. It's not like necessarily anything spectacular and amazing or completely unique and original, however there's just something about it that makes me feel, I don't know, so at home in a way. It's almost that traditional kind of cozy fantasy. There are high stakes, but it's not super gut crunching. Well, the last 2 books have been kind of gut crunching, but generally speaking it's enjoyable, it's comforting. So we're basically following Tom Ward as he becomes the Spook's Apprentice, which is pretty much like the keeper of the county. They keep all the evil characters evil spirits and ghouls and the, what do they call them, malignant witches, at bay to protect the people in the land, and he is the apprentice of that. So yeah, it's aimed at middle grade, and honestly there's just something about this series that I am adoring. I think I am possibly up to book 8, potentially that's the next one I've got to get to. Another middle grade series, I'm holding the spin-off series and the most recent book, but that would be The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. So as I say, this is the spin-off series, but originally there's like 7 books, I think, 7 or 8 books, and then 3 books in the follow-up kind of prequel situation. And we're following brother and sister, they're twins, Alex and Connor Bailey. They find their fairy tales to be real. They fall into the land of stories and come face to face with all the characters they've loved growing up, and realise there's a lot more going on in that world than they ever would have anticipated, and realise they're connected quite heavily in that world as well. And again, it's just I'm going to keep repeating myself with it, but it's just so very comforting. I'm just going to leave it at that. You know why it's in this list. It's a comfort read for me. There's something about it. Can't always pinpoint it, but I love it. So yeah, I'm just going to try and just give you synopsises at this point, because otherwise I'm just going to be saying the same thing. But definitely love this. The spin-off series is pretty good as well. At the minute, I think it is just leaving that at a trilogy, but I think there was the idea that it would also be a continued series. I don't know if it would go up to like 7 or 8 books like the original series, but I think he was intending to do more than 3. He's just kind of stopped for now. Hopefully it's not forever, because I do love these books. Alright, next up we have The Girl from the Other Side, and this is a recent book series that I've fallen in love with. It's actually a manga by Howdee-haie, and oh my god, it's such a delight. We are following kind of like this dark, grim but quaint fairy tale. We're following Teacher and Shiva. So Teacher is this creature they call the outsider. He's basically been cursed, and he's turned into this like darkened creature, like kind of satanic looking, and Shiva is the little girl who would be classed as an insider, so still human, still not touched by the curse, and they're kind of living their life, but as you get on into the story you realise that they're more tied into the curse as they try to figure out how to stop it, why Shiva is on the outside, who put her out there, a bit more about who she lived with, and just kind of unravelling the story, the curse in general, and how these two unlikely characters are thrown together amongst it all. But yeah, it's that quaint fairy tale, so although it has those dark, grim aspects, it is also very meandering and kind of makes me think of Studio Ghibli's kind of soft magic, like magical realism, the way they carry along a story, just with more like darker, gritty undertones. It's a really cool blend. Quite an incredible blend. I feel like you kind of have to see it for yourself to really know what I mean, but yeah, absolutely love this one, and I've fallen in love with these books just this year alone. I've now run out of the volumes. I think there's 11 or 12 all in all, and I've now caught up with what I had. So I had 5, and now I don't have any more until I buy the next lot. Another comfort read for me, or I should probably say comfort author, would be Emily Henry. I've read 2 books from her now. Funnily enough, I'm holding a book up that I haven't yet read, but I've just read You and Me on Vacation, and I have also read Beach Read, and both of them I just absolutely adored. There was just, I don't even read romance typically, not very often do I go for contemporary romance, but there was just something about her stories, her characters, her writing that just took me away. Like, it felt realistic, but also enough escapism from your everyday life, you know, but not in the way of a fantasy, which is something that I would typically read. There was just so much that I could invest in, like emotionally, rooting for different characters. I just, it was just a breath of fresh air. I was so invested, and I just could not wait to pick her books back up, honestly. So I'm probably end up going to save this one for next summer, but yeah, so far I have really enjoyed her books, and they just feel like such a safe space. It's almost like a nice hand holding, especially as I don't partake in that genre very often. It's nice to feel like eased into it, and I feel like she's a good author to do that for you. We have another middle grade series, and this one is A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. I think the 4th book has literally just released, maybe the tail end of last month, but oh my god, these are fantastic. They follow 3 sisters who have kind of literally a pinch of magic. They've got like a witchy history within their family, and they basically get into all sorts of adventures and sometimes trouble and mischief as they get up to their daily lives, but they can never just get up to anything boring. Something has to happen. It's very entertaining. I just love seeing the connections and the disputes and, I don't know, the shenanigans that get up to whenever these sisters are around. So yeah, it's so much fun, and again, it's just another safe space for me. Another book that I absolutely love and just feel so safe in, so comforted, is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Ryan Jones. This one I've actually done a full book review for. I actually did a duo review for this and the movie, so if you are interested, I will link that in the cards for you and you can check that out. I think I also did a reading vlog as well, reading all 3 of these books, I'm pretty sure, because there's kind of like like it's a trio of books. They're kind of like companion novels, not necessarily direct sequels, but they're set in like the same world. Okay, we're getting to the end. This one is a high fantasy, and this is Trudy Canavan, and this is the Traitors Spy Trilogy. This is book 1, The Ambassador's Mission. And oh my god, it's a while now since I've read them, but I buddy read them with Deborah from Hills of Books on Instagram, and I so loved them. Before this, I had read The Age of the Five by Trudy Canavan and really loved them too, but I think this was the one that I was like, yeah, this is definitely an author for me. So I do really need to go and check more of her backlist out. If she has any more books, I'm not actually too sure. I've read the sequel series to this as well, again with Deborah, but yeah, the high fantasy, like, it was just so much, not in a way that was overwhelming, like, for the most part, but a way that you can just really switch off from reality and just fully immerse yourself in a completely new to you world, a completely new to you magic system. And I think that's one of the reasons why predominantly I read fantasy. It is to escape and learn something new, but it's still light-hearted in a way that it's not too serious, like it's not affecting my real life, do you know what I mean? Like, I can escape for a couple of hours into a book, learn all their lore, their politics, their magic, be like, whoa, that's weighty, that's heavy, that's amazing, and then come out and feel rejuvenated and ready to socialise again. And I feel like Trudy Canavan really does that for me. And lastly, we have The House by Paco Roca. It was quite touching, actually. It's a graphic novel about 3 siblings who are kind of estranged, and they go back to their old family home to sort of tidy it up in order to sell it after their father passes away, and they kind of just rehash over old family memories. They get into some disputes about how each other has remembered certain events, and kind of just take the time to talk. Like, they don't really talk anymore, they don't really see each other anymore, so this is the time and the space to do it. And it just felt so real, like it was quite emotional. I really enjoyed this one, and I didn't really know what to expect. My friend Sun from Sun's Bookish Games, or Sunpie now, sent this to me to read after she'd finished it, so I'd never heard of it before, and I wasn't expecting it to change me so much or have so much of an effect on me. So thank you, Sun. Yeah, this was really, really comforting. I really enjoyed this. So yeah, those are all the books that I find comfort in. Let me know what yours are, what your go-to is, if you want to. I know it can be quite a personal thing, so only if you feel comfortable telling me and sharing. But for now, I shall catch you in another video soon. Bye.